It was meant to be a night of celebration. The final moments of 1965 were ticking away. Crowds flooded the streets, and pubs across the city roared with laughter. But in the midst of the revelry, one woman quietly boarded a train at Waterloo Station and never arrived where she was headed. Over half a century later, the truth behind her disappearance remains elusive. Tonight, we examine every clue, every headline, and every rumor to uncover the enduring mystery of the midnight train. Waterloo Station, 31st December 1965. It's nearly midnight, but the station is far from empty. There's a tangible sense of excitement in the air, a mixture of last-minute commuters rushing home and revelers heading out to New Year's parties. Among them is a woman in her mid-30s, wearing a modest dark coat and carrying a small suitcase. According to an Evening Ledger article published on 2nd January 1966, staff at the ticket office recalled her as soft-spoken and appearing a little tense, but otherwise polite. That short interaction would become one of the last confirmed sightings of this unnamed woman. Despite public interest, her name was never widely circulated, allegedly at the request of her family, leading many to wonder who she really was and why she'd keep a low profile on such a festive night. Moments before midnight, she made her way to Platform 4, boarding a train that was due to depart right as the New Year bells rang across the city. According to the conductor's log, the service wasn't particularly crowded. Most people were out celebrating. Yet what happened next has baffled investigators for decades. The train pulled out of Waterloo around 11:55 p.m., heading away from central London. Several witnesses later spoke to police and reporters, but their stories conflicted. A Daily Spectator piece on 3rd January 1966 ran with the headline,
"Midnight Mystery. Woman vanishes from London train. No trace left behind."
In that same article, a passenger identified only as Miss Gladys Parker stated,
"I saw her sitting 2 rows ahead of me. Near the window, she barely spoke but kept fiddling with her handbag, looking over her shoulder every now and then. By the time we pulled into the last station, Milton Keynes, her seat was empty. I just assumed she'd stepped off."
However, another passenger, Mr. Vernon Haynes, insisted she didn't leave the train at all. Speaking to the Chronicle, he shared,
"I'd been dozing on and off, but I suddenly thought I heard someone let out a scream. It was faint, and I assumed maybe they'd tripped. When I looked around, there was just silence. No shouting, no commotion."
By the end of the journey, the woman's seat was empty, and the luggage she'd brought on board was nowhere to be found. Stranger still, a different suitcase, believed to be hers, resurfaced at Waterloo the following morning, as though it had never left the station. Whether it was a simple mix-up or a deliberate ruse remains a mystery. The police acted swiftly once worried relatives reported her missing. Inspector John Stevens of the Metropolitan's Police, quoted in multiple tabloids, organized trackside searches and questioned employees at every station along the route. A statement published in the National Courier on 5th January 1966 quoted Inspector Stevens directly.
"We have no evidence at present to suggest foul play, but we're keeping an open mind. If anyone rode the last train from Waterloo on New Year's Eve and spotted anything unusual, please contact us immediately."
Despite these efforts, the trail grew cold. No witnesses recalled seeing this woman after that fleeting moment in the carriage. No hospitals had an unidentified patient. Rumors arose that she might have planned her own disappearance, potentially leaving behind an unhappy life. Others believed she'd been abducted or suffered a tragic accident. In a more sensational approach, the Evening Post on the 6th of January 1966 emblazoned its pages with the headline,
"Did she run away? Police fear planned New Year's escape."
Meanwhile, her family, when pressed, admitted she wasn't in the best spirits, as 1965 ended, but they offered few concrete details. So how does a person vanish from a moving train, especially with fellow passengers on board? For a few weeks, the mystery dominated the front pages. A letter to the editor published in the National Courier on 7th January claimed,
"I saw her in Portsmouth, walking with a man in a dark coat."
The writer described spotting a woman matching the missing passenger's description. Police checked this lead, along with another tip from a taxi driver in Croydon, who believed he'd ferried her on New Year's Day, but both fizzled into nothing. Some tabloids even whispered about espionage or elaborate criminal plots, but no verifiable evidence ever came to light. By late January, public interest waned. It was around this time that theories truly took hold: accident, foul play, staged disappearance, or even conspiracy. Each scenario seemed plausible, yet every angle was riddled with contradictions. Inspector Stevens attempted to quell speculation again in the Evening Ledger on the 10th of January 1966, expressing hope that new leads might surface. And local MP John Robert Jenners weighed in during a radio interview, insisting improvements in station security were essential, as
anyone could slip away unnoticed in holiday crowds.
There was brief talk of overhauling safety standards, but progress was slow. By February, the news cycle had moved on, and the midnight train mystery, as it was dubbed, became a footnote in London's collective memory. But its quiet enigma never fully disappeared. In the late 1970s, a Sunday magazine piece titled
City of Shadows, Unsolved London Disappearances
briefly revisited the case, quoting friends of the missing woman who painted her as loyal and dependable. Other amateur sleuths, searching archives, found only dead ends. Over time, the story took on a mythic quality. Some turned it into a sort of ghost legend, where she supposedly roams the corridors of that New Year's Eve train. Others saw it as a reminder of how easily someone can slip through the cracks of a big city. And so the questions remain. Who was she? Why board a nearly empty train as New Year's fireworks lit the sky? Did she vanish on purpose, or was she a victim of something darker? If alive, she'd be in her 80s today, possibly remembering the night she vanished into London's underbelly. If not, her final moments may lie hidden along that railway, unnoticed by everyone else on board. Mysteries like this endure because they challenge our belief that modern life leaves no room to disappear without a trace. New Year's Eve 1965 stands as a testament to how, in the midst of noisy celebrations, an ordinary person can slip out of view, perhaps forever. Thank you for tuning in. If you're fascinated by chilling enigmas, puzzling disappearances, and the depths of human curiosity, Midnight Echoes is your destination. Subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a Tuesday upload, because the darkest truths often emerge just when you think the night is quiet. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.